Hospice and home health are a huge part of the assisted living community, and they actually work together with the assisted living home to help the elderly, to provide care for the elderly. So in this video, I'm actually going to explain the differences between hospice and home health. What's up, everyone? I hope you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Serge. Welcome to the channel. To all my reoccurring viewers, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you guys. To my new viewers, guys, I've created a Facebook group called Legion Assisted Living Academy, and it's a group of people who have a ton of questions, have a ton of different answers, and they have been giving me a ton of feedback and also just topics that they want me to cover on this channel. So in this video, I'm going to cover the topic of hospice and home health. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into that topic. Go ahead and start with hospice. And what is hospice defined as? Hospice is defined as comfort care for a patient who's been diagnosed with a prognosis for 6 months or less by the doctor if the natural disease runs its course, and it has to be certified by a physician. What is home health and what does it do? Home health is more of an intermittent service for residents and for patients, and it has to do with physical therapy, with occupational therapy, with in-home services, also any skilled nursing services that the patient may need, whether it's IVs or anything of that sort that the resident needs. That is what medical home health actually provides. Then you have your non-medical home health, which provides just bathing, feeding, dressing, all the basic activities of daily living. That is what the non-medical home health actually provides for the resident. And a lot of them do have to qualify, and their insurance has to approve them for it. With hospice, most insurances, it's covered under Medicare, and a lot of residents do have Medicare, so they're able to get on hospice a lot easier, whereas home health is usually either a private pay situation or it's a private insurance that will cover home health. Who provides the care when a resident is on hospice? And that can vary from a huge variety of different people. And so the main people that are part of the whole hospice team when a resident gets put on hospice is a physician, a nurse, a hospice aide, a social worker, a chaplain, a volunteer, or even a specialist who goes to the assisted living home and goes and provides care. And it usually is something that is scheduled probably twice a week. I know, for instance, at my home, we have for each resident, one of the residents, we have the aides come 3 times a week. Another resident, we have the aides come twice a week, and then a nurse that comes every 2 weeks. And so it's usually, that's kind of how it's scheduled. And then a chaplain once a month, and then physician is usually they rarely ever come. It's usually just the nurses, the aides, and the chaplain. In my experience with my residents, that's usually when they come, and for the most part, that's who provides the care for the hospice. With home health, the people that provide the care are also a nurse. It's a certified nurse assistant, also known as a CNA, physical therapist, and occupational therapist. That's who's pretty much involved in the home health aspect, and that's the team that takes care and provides care for the resident. When a resident is put on hospice, they usually have 6 months. If they live past that 6-month period, they're recertified within the period of 90 days, and then if they live past those 90 days, then they have to be recertified again every 60 days, and therefore there's no limit to how many times they can get recertified. So they do have to keep getting, if they keep living longer and longer, then at that point they may just come off of hospice, and they may just, and when that time comes for them as they start declining, they may just get put back on hospice. So that's usually how it works with hospice. Now with home health, it's a little different. It all just depends on the resident and where they're at with their health, and a lot of it has to do with with Medicare. A lot of it just has to do with Medicare continues to allow them to be on home health, and it's usually every 60 days that they get recertified with home health. So guys, that's kind of how it works with the recertification of both hospice and home health. The next question would probably be, do they provide 24 hours per day? I know that if they go into an inpatient hospice, that they can provide a 24-hour, but it's only for 7 days, and that's what Medicare will allow them to do. But under home health, they are not allowed to get the benefit of having the 24 care service. And that's why an assisted living home like my home and other homes are a huge part of this whole community, because a lot of it is paid either through Medicare or through Medicaid or through private pay, and it is 24 hours. So therefore they can bring a resident here, they can take care of them, know that there is staff and there are managers who are watching the resident, and there are caregivers taking care of the resident and giving the resident the medications that they need, and they can come in on an intermittent schedule. So because Medicare does not cover 24 hours for months on end, that's why they come into assisted living, and assisted living is not covered under Medicare. So just to make that clear, guys. Next question would be, does hospice or home health cover any of the prescriptions? Hospice does cover a majority of the prescriptions and over-the-counter medications for the resident if it's related to their terminal diagnosis. Home health actually, unfortunately, does not cover any prescriptions or any of the over-the-counter medications. So therefore, guys, usually it's the resident's insurance. If they have a pharmacy that they have and the insurance does cover under that pharmacy, or if that pharmacy takes that provider or that insurance, then their medications would be covered that way. Then we move on to the equipment of the resident. Does hospice cover any of the equipment, and does home health cover any of the equipment? With hospice, 100% of the equipment is covered under the Medicare benefits with hospice, so therefore the resident is not having to pay for any of the equipment such as wheelchairs, walkers, bed, O2. Any of that type of equipment is covered by the Medicare. And also if they're under the palliative plan of care with hospice, that equipment is covered. Also, it's known as DME. And then with home health, it only covers up to 80% of it, and then the resident would have to pay the remaining 20% of whatever the cost of that equipment is. Personal care is actually provided by hospice under the Medicare benefits for 100%. It's covered, and with home health, it's not. It's usually always private paid, or they may have some private insurance that covers it. So overall, hospice does provide a lot of things for the resident under Medicare, and the resident doesn't have to come out of pocket to pay for anything. But for the most part, home health, on that aspect, they do come out of pocket to pay for a lot more, and it's actually a lot more expensive to do home health in their own private residency than it is to come to an assisted living home. Now that you guys have an understanding of what hospice and home health actually covers, what they don't cover, all of this comes beautifully done when working together with the assisted living home. Because the assisted living home does provide care 24 hours, 7 days a week, and hospice and home health do not, that is the benefit of having a resident in an assisted living home on these two services, and they work simultaneously together to benefit the resident, and that is the ultimate goal. If when all is said and done and everything is done properly, that's how they come together and they work together, and it's not one business beating another business, or it's all in order to help the patient and the resident. Okay, hospice is not gonna take over assisted living is not going to take over hospice, home health is not going to take over either of them. Each one is limited to what they can do, but overall, bigger picture, they are all able to come together and provide the best service for the resident and for the patient and the client. So with that in mind, guys, just know that there is not this whole idea of like, oh, is there not enough business, or is there not enough patients or clients or etc. to be able to do all this? I'm scared that home health is going to take over or hospice is going to take over. That's not the case, guys, and just understand that they all come together to work together. I work with home health, I work with hospice. I have residents on hospice currently. I have a resident who's using occupational therapy and physical therapy through a home health, right? They all come together to benefit the resident and help the patient and the resident stay comfortable during their end of life, or even just to rehab back to be able to go back home. That pretty much sums up hospice and home health, guys, and assisted living. Hopefully this video was a lot more informative, and if it was, go ahead, hit that like button. Also make sure to hit that subscribe button, and do not forget, guys, go join that group called Legion Assisted Living Academy. And if you haven't yet, go watch all these other videos. They're very informative. They'll help you guys out a lot. So make sure you guys go watch those. And thank you guys for sticking all the way to the end. I will see you guys all in the next video. God bless. Peace.